The House That Remembered, True Home Horror Story, Part 1. The first thing the realtor told me was never to repaint the walls. I laughed. Why? She stared at the house for a long moment, then quietly whispered, because the house remembers. I thought she was joking. The house had been abandoned for 11 years. The previous family, a husband, a wife, and their 8-year-old son, had disappeared overnight. Dinner was still on the table. The television was still on. Their car remained in the garage. Their phones were found charging beside the bed. But the family was never seen again. No blood, no struggle, no fingerprints except their own. It was as if they had simply stopped existing. The police searched everything. The attic, the basement, the walls, the backyard. Nothing. Only one strange detail. Every mirror inside the house had been smashed. Every single one. Nobody ever discovered why. The price was unbelievably low. I bought it without asking another question. The first 3 nights were peaceful. Too peaceful. No strange sounds. No footsteps. No shadows. Nothing. Then, on the 4th morning, I walked into the hallway. Fresh white paint covered one wall. Someone had written 4 words. Welcome home. The paint was still wet. I called the police. They searched the house. No signs of forced entry. Every door and window was still locked from the inside. The officers assumed someone was playing a prank. After they left, I painted over the words myself. By sunset, the wall looked brand new. I smiled. Problem solved. The next morning, the message was gone. Instead, 4 different words appeared. That was rude. My heart stopped. I installed security cameras in every room. That night, nothing happened, or so I thought. The cameras recorded normally until exactly 3:17 a.m. Every screen suddenly froze. 37 seconds later, the recording continued. Everything looked normal, until the hallway camera. There was a white wooden door at the end of the hallway. A door that didn't exist. Then, it slowly opened. Someone walked out. He looked exactly like me. He stared directly into the camera, smiled, then quietly said, "I've been waiting for you." The recording ended. The House That Remembered. True Home Horror Story, Part 2. I replayed the footage, again, and again. The man looked exactly like me. Same face, same clothes, even the scar above my left eyebrow. But there was one difference. He never blinked, not once. I ran into the hallway. The white door was gone. Only a blank wall remained. I touched it, solid dry wall. No frame, no handle, nothing. I grabbed a hammer, smashed through the wall. Only wooden beams, empty insulation. No hidden room, no doorway, nothing. That evening, an elderly woman knocked on my front door. She introduced herself. "My name is Martha. I used to live across the street." She looked nervous, then quietly asked, "Has the house started writing to you yet?" I froze. "You've seen it before." She nodded. "It wrote to every owner." I asked why she never told anyone. Her face turned pale. "Because it starts with words and ends with people." She handed me an old photograph. The missing family stood in front of the house, smiling, but something caught my eye. Behind them, standing in the upstairs window, was another man. Nobody had ever mentioned him. Martha whispered, "He wasn't there when the picture was taken." That night, I couldn't sleep. At exactly 3:17 a.m., every light in the house turned on, by themselves. Then, a loud knock echoed upstairs. Knock, knock, knock. I slowly climbed the stairs. Every bedroom door stood open. Every room was empty. Then I heard breathing, coming from behind the hallway wall. The same wall where the white door had appeared. Slow, heavy, human. I placed my ear against the wall. Someone whispered, "Open it. I've been trapped here for 11 years. It was a woman's voice, crying, "I know you're there. Please." Before he comes back. Suddenly, the wall trembled. Paint began cracking. A white outline slowly appeared, exactly where the mysterious door had been. The outline became brighter. A brass doorknob slowly pushed through the wall, as if the house itself was growing another room. The House That Remembered. True Home Horror Story, Part 3. The brass doorknob slowly turned. Click. The white door opened by itself. Cold air rushed into the hallway. Not cold like winter. Cold, like an empty freezer. Beyond the doorway was another hallway. It looked exactly like mine. Same carpet, same family photos, same cracked ceiling, except everything was older, rotting. Dust covered every surface. The lights flickered weakly. I stepped inside. The door quietly closed behind me. I immediately turned. There was no door anymore. Only another wall. My phone lost signal. Then, the hallway lights came on. One by one, someone was walking, not toward me, away from me. Slow footsteps echoed through the corridor. Step, step, step. I followed them. At the end of the hallway, I found a living room. Everything inside looked familiar, because it was my living room. The same couch, the same television, the same coffee mug, still sitting on the table. But I had left that mug downstairs. Then I noticed something else. Family photographs. Dozens of them. Only, I didn't recognize the people. Every photograph showed me, standing beside a woman, holding a little girl, smiling. On the back of every photo, the same date, October 14th, 2032. That date hadn't happened yet. Suddenly, the television switched on. Static. Then security camera footage appeared. It showed my real house. Outside, police cars filled the street. Officers were carrying someone out on a stretcher. The body was covered with a white sheet. One detective lifted the sheet, just enough to identify the victim. It was me, standing beside the television, watching my own body being removed from the house. Then a voice spoke behind me. I told you, I've been waiting. I slowly turned around. The man from the security footage stood only a few feet away. He smiled exactly the way I smiled. But his eyes were completely black. I've lived here for 11 years. He pointed toward the photographs. They all tried to leave. They all became me. Then he handed me an old newspaper. The headline froze my blood. Local man disappears without a trace. The photograph was the previous owner, except he had my face. Before I could move, the walls around me began changing. Fresh white paint spread across them. Words slowly appeared. Not one sentence. Hundreds of them. Every wall, every ceiling, every door, covered with the same message. The house remembers. Then, all the writing disappeared, leaving behind only 4 words. Now, it remembers. You. The house that remembered. True home horror story. Part 4. I ran. The hallway stretched farther with every step. The front door never got closer. Every room I passed looked almost identical, except each one belonged to a different family. Different furniture, different photographs, different lives. One thing never changed. Every wall carried the same words. The house remembers. I burst into the kitchen. Dinner was still on the table. Still warm. 3 plates. 1 chair had fallen over. The calendar on the wall read, September 18th, 11 years ago. This wasn't another room. It was the night the family disappeared. I heard voices upstairs. A little boy laughing, then screaming. I climbed the stairs. The master bedroom door slowly opened. Inside, the missing family stood perfectly still. The father, the mother, the little boy, all staring toward the mirror above the dresser. None of them blinked. None of them breathed. The father slowly raised one shaking hand. Without looking at me, he whispered, "Don't let it copy you." The mirror rippled like water. A hand emerged, then another, then a face. It looked exactly like the father. His copy stepped out first. Smiling, the real father screamed. The copy touched his shoulder. In an instant, the real man simply disappeared. Not dragged away, not killed, gone, as if he had never existed. Then the copy calmly walked downstairs. The mother began crying. She grabbed her son. The mirror moved again. Another copy climbed out. This time, it looked exactly like her. Within seconds, she disappeared too. Only the little boy remained. He looked directly at me. Tears filled his eyes. "You can still stop it." Before I could answer, the mirror erupted. Glass exploded across the room. A third figure stepped through. It was me, not the version I had already seen. Another one. This one wore the clothes I had on the day I bought the house. He smiled, then quietly said, "You still think you're the original, don't you?" At that exact moment, every clock inside the house stopped. 3:17 a.m. The lights went out, and the house locked every door. The house that remembered. True home horror story. Part 5. The entire house fell silent. Not a single sound, not even my own breathing. Every clock remained frozen. 3:17 a.m. The copy smiled. "You still don't understand. You think this house traps people. It doesn't. It replaces them." He slowly pointed toward the broken mirror. For the first time, I looked inside. There was no reflection, only another house, another hallway, another version of me, watching from the other side. Then another, and another, hundreds of them. Every version looked slightly different. Older, younger, injured, terrified. Some were desperately pounding on the glass. Others simply stared, as if they had already given up. The copy quietly spoke, "Every owner becomes another memory. The house never forgets." I grabbed the nearest chair, smashed it into the mirror. Nothing happened, not even a crack. The copy laughed, "You can't break a memory." Then, the little boy appeared again. The same boy who had disappeared 11 years ago. He was no longer crying. He looked directly at me, then pointed toward the wall. Not the mirror, the wall. Fresh paint slowly spread across it. New words appeared. "It only remembers those who look back." Suddenly, everything made sense. Every victim had spent hours staring at the mirrors, watching the impossible, trying to understand it. The house didn't choose them. Their curiosity did. I closed my eyes, turned my back to every mirror, every photograph, every reflection. The copy screamed, "Look at me." I kept walking. The screams became louder. Furniture crashed behind me. The walls shook. Hands grabbed at my jacket. I refused to turn around. Then, the front door slammed open. Cold night air hit my face. I stepped outside. The house became completely silent. Morning arrived. Police searched the property one final time. There were no hidden rooms, no strange mirrors, no missing family photographs, only an abandoned house, exactly as it had always appeared. They believed stress had caused hallucinations. I never argued. 6 months later, the house was demolished. Bulldozers reduced it to rubble. Workers reported finding nothing unusual. No hidden basement, no sealed rooms, no evidence. The case was closed forever. Or so everyone believed. Last month, a new neighborhood was built on that land. One of the new homeowners uploaded a photo online. A beautiful family, standing in front of their brand new house. Everyone in the comments admired the picture. Nobody noticed. The upstairs window, standing behind the family, was another man. He looked exactly like the father. Except, he was smiling, and the father wasn't. I stared at the photo for several minutes. Then my phone vibrated, a notification from an unknown number. It contained only one sentence. "Thank you for leaving your memories behind." I immediately deleted the message. The next morning, it was back. This time, it had my name.